TK4510. Welcome to part 2, forearm assembly. Today we're going to talk about assembling the left and right forearms. The left and right forearms, you can tell the difference between the two because the left forearm has a curvature on the bottom of it, and this would be the inside. And the right forearm on the inside has no curvature, it's basically straight. And this would be your right. We're going to talk about how we're going to cut these. Basically, the finishing strip on the forearms is 5/8 of an inch wide. So I've divided that in half, which makes it 5/16, and I've made a line on the forearm for the 5/16 of an inch. The edges, there are no lip on A and H forearms, so we're going to cut those from the inside with a blade, and then those are just going to pop right out. When it's all cut, we're going to lay the assembly strips on here, the joining strips, and we're going to glue them together with CA glue, 1/2 at a time, and then that'll be the forearms. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got a shop blade for cutting if I need it, an X-Acto blade for cutting details if I need it, pencil for drawing the lines that I just did, ruler for drawing straight lines, safety gloves, glove, which I'm going to go ahead and put on right now. This is a glove that you cannot cut through with a knife. It won't cut through, so that's very important because I have a tendency to do that. And this is a pair of scissors just in case I need them. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's do one at a time here. I've got my line drawn here. Now this doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be exactly straight. It's basically just got to be so that I can lay the strip over the top of it and glue it, and so that the gaps are just barely touching. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And all I'm doing, I'm not pressing hard, I'm just scoring the plastic just enough to where I'll be able to snap it later. Usually 3 times is good enough. I'm going to do the other side. Just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to score the inside, and I think for that I'll probably use the X-Acto knife. And basically you just want to, can you see that here? Basically you just want to follow the line that's inside. I'll hold it up so you can see it. You just want to follow the line that's inside the forearm. I want to make sure you guys can see it. I'm just following right along the line inside the forearm. I'm going to do that a few times. Do the other side. ABS is pretty easy to snap. It's not brittle, so it's easy to work with. Styrene is very brittle, very easily snapped, but has a tendency to crack wherever it feels like it. I'm gonna go ahead and score this wrist part right here. I score it because I want to be able to snap it and break it off cleanly, and I can do that pretty easily here. So let's see how we do. See that? Same thing here. Go ahead and just pull this off. You don't have to be violent like I am about it, but I'm trying to save some time here. So, okay, so I've got it cut basically in the shape that I want. Now I'm going to go back and I'll hit it with some 80 grit sandpaper and clean it up. And then I will do the other forearms the same way. Again, this is 5/16, 5/16, and you're just going to cut on the inside, and then snap. And once you have all these, cut like this, then it comes down to assembly. Alright, now it's time for assembly. So we've got our left forearm piece, and here it is how it's going to go together. I'm just going to take one of these strips. So I'm going to lay it over the top of this. Take a look at it here. Looks like I've got plenty of meat to glue to. And just so you know, I mean, it doesn't have to be right on the edge. If you need a little extra room, you can push it out a little bit. I'm just gonna score it right here. Snap it to the length that I need. That's gonna be the short side. Yep, okay. So it's going to go on here. So this is Zap-A-Gap. I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of Zap-A-Gap on here. Not a whole bunch. And I'm going to carefully clamp each end, like so. Clamp it in the middle, like that. So now my strip's on there. It's held secure. I'm going to pop it with the zip kicker. It's going to kick. And you can tell when super glue is curing because it goes from being clear to being yellow and foaming to being clear again. And so now I'm done. See how much faster that is than E6000? And it doesn't smell from here till the rest of your life. So that's one side. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to lay our strip on here. Figure out how much we need to cut. Score this. Snap it. Lay this one on here, make sure we got enough. Looks like I got a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that again. Okay. Looks like I got enough now. I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to lay a little bit of CA glue on there. Going to lay this on here. Clamp it. Lay this on this side and clamp it. Clamp this in the middle. So there you go. Now it's clamped on both sides again, or clamped on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and spray it with the zip kicker. Let it set, it's going to kick. And there you go. See how fast that is? If you're using CA glue, you can assemble a set of armor. I mean, I'm not talking the entire thing, but I'm talking like the legs and the forearms. You can do all that, and you can do it correctly in a couple of days, the whole set. So there is one half of our forearm, and this is the left, so this is the part that goes with it. Now all we got to do is just glue these two halves together and we'll have our forearm. Okay, and this is where it gets a little trickier, but not too much. You basically, line up one of the ends here. Usually I use the top end of the forearms. Line it up like you want it. And then look at the back end. We got a little bit of meat here that's hanging over the edge. And I can see that this part of the forearm is kind of bulging out, so I probably should trim this part back a little bit. See that one there? Okay, so I'm going to make a couple trims here, adjust it, and basically I'm going to cut off a little bit because I want to try and line up the strips with this ridge if I can. So I'll take my shop blade here And normally I would use a pair of gloves, you know, cutting gloves to do this, but I'm just gonna cut off the excess of what I don't need. I'll try and fit again. That's better. Okay, so now I'm just going to do one side at a time. I'm gonna lay down the CA glue. I'm going to line up my strip here at the end. Go ahead and clamp this one. Like that. And since this forearm is a little wonky shaped, go ahead and clamp this in here. Like that. And this end's clamped. And since we don't have any way of clamping the center, you can use magnets. But because I'm using CA glue, I don't have to worry about clamping it overnight or anything like that. I'm just going to hit it with some zip kicker. Let it set up, kick. Okay, should be good now. So there's that half. And now we'll just glue this side. I can see that I'm a little fat on this part here, so I'll go ahead and cut that down a little bit. There we go. You want to make sure before you glue parts together too that you don't have any zip kicker remnants left over, because the super glue will start curing before you get a chance to put the whole thing together. Alright, so now I've got my two halves together. I'll go ahead and clamp it. Clamp it. And go ahead and hit it. Looks like I need another can of zip kicker. This one's toast. Alright, so I'm going to hold it. And there you go. See how easy that was? One whole forearm assembled. Now I'm just going to smooth out the edges, finish it off, make it pretty. But that's basically it. That's how you assemble a forearm. I'm going to continue on with this side. Alright, our assembly is done on both the forearms. But I just wanted to go back and show you how to clean up the edges. I took a belt sander. You can use sandpaper if that's all you have, but if you have like a Dremel with a sanding edge on it, you can smooth out the edges a little bit. The actual ones in the actual forearms in the movie in A&H are kind of blunt. They're not really smoothed out, but if you need to smooth it out a little bit so that it doesn't pinch your arm, you can do that. And I usually smooth out the forearms by, you know, sanding on the inside like this. You can sand on the edge. And then also, if you have any flash hanging over the sides, like any pieces that are high, you can also take your knife and just kind of scrape on the edge like that. That'll get the high edges off. And you can just work your way around the forearm, just smoothing things out. Like that. There's a little piece there I want to smooth out. You can just go all the way around your forearms until they're the way you want them to look. And that's it. Forearms are done.